welcome to episode 50 of the Hype Podcast. This is a special episode.
This is 50.
This is 50.
Wow.
Yeah, we did it. We made the 50. I don't know what the stats are, but 50 I feel like is
half a century. I like that.
You know, we're rocking and rolling. So I'm really excited. We got myself, Arun, we got Vance here today, and we got special guest Anto Patrex here. And so I'm really excited.
Anto.
AI Anto. Is that your nickname? Is that what we're going to call you today? Well, we got a guru. We talk about AI a lot on this podcast, but you know, we really don't know what we're talking about. So it's good to have an industry expert here to tell us a little bit about it. You have a really, really cool background. I just got to read off some of this because I feel like our listeners need to know. We'll let you do a spiel. But you are the current founder and CEO of CosmicBrain AI. You worked at XAI, one of our favorite platforms. You worked at NASA. You worked for the F1 Aston Martin team. And you're doing AI for all of them, if I'm not mistaken, right? You were doing some form
one way or the other.
One way or the other. That's really exciting, man. Tell us about a little bit about your background, how you got into this.
Oh, yeah, sure. Aston Martin was just an intern. I was just an intern.
Humble.
All right,
So
not
humble.
a full-time job.
Yeah.
So I was always interested in building stuff from a very young age. Like started building using physics, engineering, started building a lot of products, right? During my time at Aston Martin, that's when most of the AI kind of kicked off. Like OpenAI, Sam was there building OpenAI, one of the biggest AI companies out there, and from there I transitioned to like GPUs and superclusters. NASA was going big on GPUs as well, right? So most of my experience comes from superclusters where the brain of the AI is actually in, where the models are getting trained, the algorithms all work in the behind the scenes. And that's kind of the experience that I carried on forward to XAI as well. So at that time, XAI was building the largest superclusters, 100,000 GPUs. H100 is one of the best GPUs out there. So I was like, oh my God, this is a great opportunity for me to actually be the first-hand person dealing with the models. And, let's explore the universe, as Elon says. So it was a great experience working for them.
Yeah, fantastic. And so you went from XAI to start your own company, CosmicBrain. So CosmicBrain, let me see if I understood it and you can correct me. You guys are building world foundational models, right? And so you guys are approaching the data side of things, right? You guys are creating real world models that your like robotics can train off of for industries and for robotics in general, right?
Yes. Yeah. So we came from LLMs to image to text to image to videos. I think we are entering the era of physical AI. So physical AI is much bigger than any other AI combined that we ever seen before. And it's a very data intensive process. So this is going to be the most compute intensive, GPU intensive project there ever is, right? So there's two different ways of looking at AGI. So as per OpenAI or as per Sam's belief, AGI comes from reasoning models. So if AI is able to ask you questions and it's able to understand what you ask it, right? So that is some sort of AGI. But the way Elon thinks about it is definitely in the terms of spatial intelligence. So if the AI is able to see us talking, there's a mic in front of you, there's a table here, right? And take a collective decision, looking at all the parameters together, that is actual AGI. So physical AI is part of that. So we are getting into a space where we have a ton of video data, millions and millions of hours of video data, and we can actually take 4D simulations based on that and train models to actually understand the physical world and make decisions out of it. So, and the first application or the real world application comes in the field of robotics. So robotics are nothing but another version of human beings. They have arms, they have legs, they see things. So camera is the primary input for data for robots. And we are building the brain for these robots to actually function it so that it can understand the world as we see it.
That's really cool. So you guys are creating these examples that maybe it's harder to test in the real world. You guys create these simulations and like expand the number of areas that a robot can train on in a shorter amount of time.
Yes. So as I said, data is the most important factor. It's a golden key when it comes to training robots. Most of the data for this comes from a point of view of the robot functioning. So if you look into how humanoid robots are trained these days, right? There is a ton of humans, 20 to 30 humans, standing on a factory floor, wearing Apple Vision Pros, and they're doing different tasks from just placing a cup on the table or taking a dish or even drinking water from a cup, those kind of stuff. So humans are actually standing 8 hours a day in the entire shift doing different tasks. And when we feed this data into the AI model, we replace the human arm with the robotic arm, and we say, hey, robot, you have to follow this. And this is the way you have to lift the object, the pressure applied, even I lift this bottle up or interact with this environment, the pressure, the physics, everything has to be replicated from that human video, right? So this data is not enough, right? So that's real data.
Right.
So what we are trying to do is expand the data sets that is using synthetic data. So the world has a lot of real data, but we need millions of hours of more data, right? So we created world foundation models that can take this bottle and change the texture a million times. So from glass to plastic to wood to any other material you can imagine, we will implement on this, right? So the robot actually visually learns it. It's just like a human child learns from life experiences, right? So if you are, this is the best example I give people, right? When they don't understand how this works. So let's say that you grew up in a remote island in some part of the world, right? And that person, and you're coming to visit some highly advanced city in the US for the first time, right? You wouldn't even know how to open a Coke bottle because you have never seen Coke bottle in your whole life, right? Or go to a supermarket, how to check out and stuff, right? So it's the same case with the robots. So if you introduce robot to a new environment, it will be super confused because it has never seen this visual cues before and they don't know how to interact with the environment. So that's why we are feeding a lifetime of visual experiences and cues into the brain of the robots, all in a factory floor before the public launch, so that the robot decreases the error rates and is easy and seamless to operate in the real world. So that's our objective.
Where does the synthetic data come from?
Mostly from the world foundation models. So we take real data, train the models on that, and the AI generates more data based on that. So alternating the texture of the content, the materials, adds like, we have a physics engine as well. So the way it operates is that we have a digital twin of the robot. We do have real world data, and we also have a physics engine. So the physics can actually replicate the friction coefficient of the water, slippery surfaces. If it's a terrain, that's different, like a forest floor. If you want to walk on grass, the grip is different. If you want to hold a cup, the force applied from the arms is different, right? So we combine a physics engine with the AI models to actually replicate all this.
The physics engine has to be rooted in some
in the AI models
principle, right?
Yes, yeah. The principles are every physics that you observe in the real world.
Because what if you just try to start bending physics because it's synthetic data anyways?
Yeah, so the thing is that we don't want the chair to fly away, right? We want the chair to obey the laws of gravity. The table needs to be positioned in the right place. And when you if I click this object like that, snap the object like that, it won't fly away, right? It will rather move this much. So the displacement, the lift, everything has to be correct. So physics has to be obeyed. So that's why we need the physics engine as well.
What if, let's just pull that thread for a second though. What if you mess with it to where it doesn't make sense? What happens? What's the consequence?
Yeah, so I think there was this viral video of how robots in China. There was this concert, right? So the robot thought there was a concert happening, right? There was in the stage there was this musicians performing, and there was like robots standing near the security guards, right? So and there was a big crowd in the back end. So the robot thought there's no actual physical barrier, and it's tried to push the people forward because it did not understand the physics of the barrier in front of it. So a lot of harmful after effects can happen because of lack of physics. Because let's say that the robot does not understand the sense of touch. If I touch you like this, right? But if I pull you harder, that's hurting the human beings, right? So it's super important for the sensory inputs of the robots to understand physics and how much pressure you need to apply, where there is barriers, where there is guardrails and all those kind of stuff to prevent harmful stuff from happening or reduce error rates.
So that's my point. What's the guidance, boundaries, regulations, and who's governing?
So that's the other question, right? So I think as we are evolving, so there has been a lot of guardrails put into LLMs, but we are still in infant stage when it comes to artificial intelligence, right? Because this is the super intelligence that we have never had in the entire history of human beings. For the first time, humans are dealing with a higher form of intelligence. And right now we are starting to think, hey, this can actually get dangerous. So we need to put guardrails. and it should come from a global scale. It should not be just constrained to the US or a couple of people from the Silicon Valley, but the whole world has to come in together to actually put guardrails and ethics on top of this, so that the robots do not do anything that harms the human beings or other robots or cause like political conflicts in a geopolitical environment. So yeah, we are in the process of doing that.
What does that process look like?
Well, the process, so there are a couple of companies or a couple of people who have come ahead as of today and working in the governmental scale. People are talking about this in DC. People are talking about this in France. In the last AI conference, JD Vance was there. So I think as more brilliant people come together and put more importance into this, we are creating a framework of ethics from that has to be obeyed by most of the major AI companies. So yeah. Yeah, that's the way.
I think what's really cool about what you guys are doing is, for example, like just training cars to do self-driving has to go through a lot of red tape, like because you need real world like use cases and test cases to be able to do this. But you guys are simulating all this, so now you can, like you said, you can generate all of these different scenarios. And it reminds me of kind of like if you guys obviously seen the Matrix, right? When you're trying to learn a new skill, there's like a whole library of things and it just downloads that new skill into you. And so you're creating this library. But the question I have is kind of similar to what Vance is asking. If you're using AI to train AI, how do you prevent the kind of hallucinations that we see right now with generative AI for the data set that you're kind of using your models to get trained off?
That's a great question. So,
because ramifications in the physical world,
right? Yeah, you can see
are a little bit greater, right. Like than a chatbot.
Yeah. I think the best thing we can do is human reinforcement learning.
Okay.
So humans actually teach AI what's wrong and right. So it's like one AI is the kid that 1,000 different humans are staying together to train one kid, right? So let's say that for LLMs, the way it works is that we give them like 1 million different questions. And out of that, if it answers like probably like 40% of it's wrong, we take those 40% of data, we teach the AI, say, hey, this is actually a wrong answer, and this is the right answer, the correct answer. So we feed the right data back to the AI models, and it learns again and again. So that's called reinforcement learning, right? The same thing applies with physical AI as well. So if the robot does a task that's it's not meant to do, or if it hallucinates in the brain, right? We teach the robot, hey, this is not the way to do, and the humans intervene and say, this is the right way to do, this is the right path to go. So human reinforcement learning is the most effective correction parameter there is to actually, making AI better.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So there's a lot of jobs then, I guess, that, people are always worried about AI taking jobs away, but you're always going to need, at least for now, human intervention to make sure things are going as expected. So like, there's a lot of this happening right now. And is this something that internally at your company you guys build, or you guys use like external kind of?
I think as my company grows, right now we do have like good models that we have trained on. But as we get more data sets and as we grow as a company, we will definitely need to have a team just to teach the AI, correct the AI, and how prevent it from hallucinating.
And when you said people are wearing Apple Vision Pros, like literally Apple Vision Pros?
It can be any VR headset, but mostly have Apple Vision Pros.
Why the choice of Apple Vision Pro, the best?
I don't. They're pretty good. Yes. Yeah.
That makes sense. So let's take a step back. What's the big bold vision, right? I mean, I get so intoxicated by conversating about AI because it's just so cool.
It really is. It really is.
And it just kind of blows your mind on the capabilities because it feels like we went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
Right. But I feel like just like crypto, sometimes you get so intoxicated by the technology, you forget, wait, what are we trying to, what are you trying to accomplish here? How do you contextualize it? What's your big, bold vision for the future? What does it look like in 2 years, 5 years, 5+ years, Anto? How does the world fundamentally change? And how do we achieve more human flourishing because of this?
Yeah, that's another great question. I would love to answer, right, for sure. So because AI is there in the world right now, human advancements have been twofold. Like it's 2x, 3x every year, right? Because we are seeing advancements in a single year that the humanity have never seen in 50 years together, right? So AI has scaled the advancement and progress of humanity at a rapid scale, right? So it comes from the hardware, the GPUs, the compute, the silicon chips, right? And the silicon chips are greatly improving. NVIDIA is at the forefront of it. The GTC, Jensen, launched hyper powerful, compute systems out there.
I sent my team there. They were just amped up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So that hardware will definitely enable a larger industry for software industries to come out, especially being from AI to physical AI. So we are creating a industry for humanoid robotics. So there are industries like human labor. So there's labor. One of the biggest problems right now in a lot of developing countries and also in developed countries is there is a huge shortage for human labor, right? Humans do not want to do all the hard tasks that we used to do 50 years back, right? And that's
give examples.
For factory labor, picking up 100 pounds of load and stacking it in the shelves, or even agriculture, right? Going in the fields, working 24 hours out in the sun. Yeah. So those kind of tasks needs to be replaced by robots, right?
Wow.
So the advantage that we get there is that humans get tired. They need breaks. They need sleep, right? So if we replace that with robots, 24-hour construction. So cities can double in size. So the skyscrapers can grow overnight. So we can introduce thousands of robots into these cities and construct things that we have never seen before.
And you also kind of use humanoids for construction, for example. Are you saying that humanoids are always the best form factor, or no? In construction, robotics could be it shouldn't be humanoids.
I would say humanoid is a basic factor, but it also depends on biomimicking. So we can actually make robots of any kind of animals out there. So humans, companies are actually mimicking ostriches, giraffes for different tasks.
But why any sort of human or animal versus more automated cranes and things like that? Talk to us about that.
Depends on the functionality, right? So let's say that I want to lift up heavy objects. Yep. So there might be a better physiological structure in the organical world, in the animal world, that can better perform that more than a human structure does. So why not replicate that? Yep. So even for right now, there are a lot of robotics companies out there which have, in order for faster maneuvers, they have replaced ostrich legs. So the way the legs are bent and the way the robots have to run and stuff, right?
But it's so interesting that the base design is God's.
Right. Creations, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It is. Very much. Yes.
But that is I would actually agree with him. I would have thought
why not just
a crane,
a fancy crane
that's automated, right? It's because we have robotics now, right?
Yeah.
It's not humanoids. It's not some creature that we can kind of create a robotic version, but it's more of a crane that doesn't have an operator. It's just a computer running it. Yeah. But it's interesting to think that that's not the most efficient thing.
Yeah, and it seems like in a lot of cases, AI design is inspired by organic.
Yeah, it's called biomimicking. So it's inspired from the nature. We replicate it, make tasks much easier.
Yeah.
So that's the way to go. And to answer the second part of your question, what is the future like, right?
Yes.
What is the future in, let's say, in the next 10 years? Excuse me. Yeah. So we are entering into a space of advanced computing.
Yep.
And that's where quantum comes into play. So I do run a nonprofit quantum society in the Bay Area, where I try to bridge the gap between quantum computers and AI companies. So quantum is in the realm of multiverse. So it thinks in the terms of atoms, not like binary systems. Most of our computers works with zeros and ones. Quantum is in qubit states. So when we have an advanced computer like quantum computers introduced into AI, that will actually bring in a truly conscious intelligence into life, right? So we can think in terms, so the way our human brain works, it's not zeros and ones. We are thinking in terms of qubits. Every neuron that's fired is in atoms, right? So we are bringing this into the field of AI, and that will create new set of materials. So we are entering into a world where all the periodic tables, all the elements that we see until now can actually be improved. So even the Teflon coating of your frying pan can actually be made more healthier using quantum and AI. Even the rocket engine, the propulsion systems. So right now we are actually burning fuel to actually propel us to space. That can actually be replaced by.
So the periodic table is not complete?
We can make it better.
Yeah.
So yeah, material science is one of the
So
greatest.
what happens with chemistry courses in America and the world?
Well, humans are meant to change and adapt, right? So
Yeah.
we should not hold on to the past, rather strive to improve and learn for the future.
Okay, but again, it's very interesting. This is exciting technology.
Yeah.
What does that mean? So I got it in the first part of your answer, which is, hey, look, we're going to have 24/7 workers.
Cool.
They don't get tired. They're more efficient. They're more accurate. So we're going to build buildings faster. We're going to see human flourishing advance because we're going to be able to develop the world, especially in places that maybe didn't have the economics to be able to do so at a rate of lower cost and more effectiveness, right? So I get that. Quantum computing, we're not just building cities faster, but what's happening
We're
now?
creating an intelligence that can actually, because right now when we think about construction, when we think about materials, when we think about drugs, right, we are thinking in a very trial and error kind of phase. We are trying different outputs. We fail different times. That's why the length of let's say I have an idea. So it takes like 5 years for it to come out, especially drug discovery, right? Or creating vaccines. It takes like years and years for it to come out. One of the problems being trial and error. So how can we make it shorter? So that's why Google came up with Willow chips and Microsoft with Midjourney. So it can do tasks that within seconds that take conventional computers like tens of trillion years to do.
One really cool way I've heard it described is like those maze puzzles that you're doing. Like a traditional computer would have to do each one sequentially. It'll take down each path until it finds the end goal that you're trying to get to, which is the exit. Whereas like a quantum computer can do every single path at the same exact time, and it'll find the solution, which is really cool, right?
So that's even more than a human, because you said we think in quantum,
Yes.
but you're actually talking about, in that analogy,
yeah.
more
This
than
will surpass
Yeah,
what we can
more than a human. So it's like all the knowledge in the entire world combined to a super intelligent. So humans are limited by data as well. I do not have all this data and all the knowledge in the world. But with hardware, with the computers, we can just feed the entire data that humans have ever learned in the past into one system, and you can introduce quantum
Okay, so
computers to it.
but you're saying, because obviously people hearing that for the first time, at least half of people would be like, that sounds terrifying. Super intelligence.
You just said that with a
That
smile.
sounds like a horrible idea. Right. But I think what I hear you saying is that no, it doesn't have to be a horrible idea if we have the right guardrails, because we can think of cures for cancer faster.
Yes.
We can, talk to me about that.
So let's say that COVID came out today morning, right?
Yeah.
With a quantum computer, you can actually develop the drugs and the vaccine by the end of the day.
Right.
So you don't have to wait a couple of months or, scientists to bring a vaccine up. So if a new disease is discovered in the morning, you can cure it by night. So that's the advancement. You can cure cancer. You can actually grow limbs. Like there's so right now, the people are looking into quantum computers in different angles, right? People are actually using brain cells to actually power computers, actual brain cells to power quantum computers. So the another factor is that how far away are we from actually achieving quantum, right? So some people say we are 20 years ahead, 20 years more to go. Or Jensen said that right now it's like 10 years to go.
Ooh.
Within 10 years, we will achieve quantum. So
What do you believe?
I do believe 10 or less.
Ooh,
Yes.
Wow.
or less.
Yeah.
Wow, more bullish than
This
Jensen.
is not great for crypto.
Exactly. Quantum cryptography is
Yeah.
much different.
Yeah.
So, that's a whole different topic to talk about
Yeah.
for sure. So, with AI, this is possible because we are able to dive into more data on quantum and drug discovery, different ways of achieving quantum, photonics to qubits to bioquantum to nanoquantum to a lot of different ways of looking at it. So Jensen actually had two big panels with all the quantum CEOs in this world talking about quantum and how it can be integrated with AI and GTC last week. So Silicon Valley is actually adapting from AI to the quantum era.
So when Jesus prayed on earth as it is in heaven, do you think he was thinking about AI?
I don't know.
Because I mean, he's the great healer.
Right.
And, maybe to scale that power, it's not just through Pentecostal, sensationalist services.
Right.
But maybe it's through practical, powerful means. Because when you talk about, these rapid drug developments, what I hear is rapid healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
what I hear is less sick people.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
I think as I learn more about technology, AI, and quantum, especially in the field of quantum is something that will bring us closer and closer to God and spirituality, because everything that happens in the quantum world is same like spirituality, same like how God designed us to be. It's like quantum is everywhere all in once. Like you can, using quantum entanglement, you can actually transfer data from one corner of the universe to another corner. Teleportation is possible. So,
well, teleportation is in the Bible.
That's crazy.
Right?
Oh, really? Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Philip. Philip baptized the Ethiopian eunuch, and reread it.
Okay.
You put it in show notes.
Yeah,
the scripture.
Yeah.
And the Bible says that Philip transported.
Wow. That's crazy.
So teleportation. So quantum obviously exists in the totality of the supernatural, right? But you're saying that science can reveal maybe what's already happening in the supernatural.
Yes. So that's our mission. I guess that's our mission, to understand.
Wait. I just want to back up. Did you just say we could also develop teleportation on Earth?
Yeah, quantum teleportation is already achieved in terms of particles.
Really?
Yeah. So we can actually teleport a particle from transfer information. So right now we require Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, wire, and all that to transfer information, right? So using quantum teleportation, you can actually replicate the information in one atom to another atom across the world.
Have they done that already?
Yes, I guess.
When was the first time that happened?
I don't remember the date, but yeah.
Like
years or?
5 years ago or 10 years ago or?
No, very recently.
Oh, this happened very recently.
Very recently.
Like within the last few years.
Not a few years.
Or like this past year.
Past year, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, so then.
Wait, I must have missed this. This feels like big news.
Yeah, this feels like, I feel like I had to have seen it on Twitter.
We're like breaking it on the
yeah.
I don't think we're breaking it.
Right,
but, like,
but if you can travel.
there should have been a bigger deal.
That should have been a big deal. But if you can travel through space, I've always considered that means you can travel through time. Is that true then too? Potentially?
Well, maybe. The thing is that in everything that we know is real can be rewritten. So the laws of physics can change in the quantum world.
Wow.
So everything that we know and understand of time, space, and reality is different in quantum world.
So you said something interesting, right?
Yeah.
You said, hey, this is going to get us closer to God.
Yeah.
This is the concern,
Yeah.
right? This sounds like the Tower of Babel.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
This sounds like the Tower of Babel. How is it not?
That's a good question. So I don't know. So the way an engineer thinks is definitely I need to solve problems.
Yeah.
I need to build. That's the only way that humans, as an engineer, that's the way I think, right? I don't think about, oh my God, it's going to take over the world or anything like that. Of course, guardrails are important. On the other hand,
Guardrails and Godrails.
Ooh, just call them Guardrails.
Exactly. On the other hand, how I started thinking about God was when I actually was dealing with world foundation models and robots and AI. In order to prevent from robots to do something harm to the humans, I started thinking about 10 commandments for the robots, right? So that's when I started thinking, oh my God, now I understand the reason why God gave humans 10 commandments.
Guardrails.
Right? Guardrails. So if we disobey that, a lot of things can go wrong. Like same for robots. If the robots harm another robot, if the robot harm another human, a lot of things can go wrong. It's not right. So that's why if they disobey the commandment, it has to shut down, right? So now we are getting into a space where we as humans are dealing with intelligence. And we are trying to think like gods, like God, but I don't know if we'll get there. So,
well, it's interesting, right? Build. Sounds like Babel.
Yeah, it does sound like Babel. Right.
Yeah.
So how?
But it's like, I think build is okay. The issue with Babel was their target was they wanted to reach heaven, right? Like they wanted to become like God, right? Where if you can build here and you just set the right future goal, it's okay.
The gospel is kind of the reverse polarity, right? Because what do I have to do to get to God? Right? The gospel is actually what God did to get to us.
Yes, exactly.
Right. And so interesting that as they were trying to do that, right, their languages, start diverting.
Right.
Which is an interesting little barrier because I feel like they could have just learned each other's languages.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like people learn Spanish.
Right.
You
But
know,
if I can't communicate with you, then it's
No,
harder
but
to-
over time,
yeah,
it's going
right,
to be
right,
possible.
right,
like
right.
through,
But it slows it down enough, right? People.
it just didn't happen.
Right.
It just didn't happen. Like the Tower of Babel stopped.
Right.
Which means that the heart of those people was never actually to do it in unity.
Interesting.
Was to try to do it in conformity. Right? So you have to conform to my thing. You got to conform to my name. You got to conform to what I'm doing. So it's actually pride is what actually stopped the Tower of Babel, because it's actually different in the New Testament. In the upper room, the same thing happened. Their languages diverted, right? In the upper room, it says they started speaking in tongues, but it wasn't like a tongues that was nonsensical. They started speaking, the Bible says literally in the New Testament that, Acts 2, that they started speaking in other languages, actual like known languages, right? But what happened was that people were able to actually interpret that language because they're like, oh, that's Italian.
Right.
Oh, and that's Hebrew. Oh, no, that's, my language, right? And all of a sudden, because they could interpret each other's languages, it actually brought unity. So there was a diversity in what they were doing, but because their intent was of the heart of God, they were able to still move forward in unity. And the Bible says that the church grew rapidly, right? And so I think what the Tower of Babel, is a symbol of is what is actually the intent.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I think maybe, the build in the AI world, we need people to hopefully have the right intent.
Yeah.
Because if people are build without the right intent, then maybe it's another destructive narrative like the Tower of Babel.
Yeah, and I think that's why you even went and approached a pastor to chat about how do I build my foundational model with these Godrails, right? Like you as a kingdom builder, like think about these things when you guys are building your company.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
The way I think about it is not to become God or overtake God, rather to understand God more and
There you
more,
go.
right? To understand in depth what spirituality actually means, what God meant for humans to actually be. Why are we on this planet? Why are we on this universe, right? And even quantum is super basic when it comes to God. Like we are just starting to explore particles. We are just starting to explore atoms and trying to tweak it to, meet our needs, right? Right now we are, humans are just constrained to this tiny planet called Earth in our solar system. I think God is omnipotent. He's like all around the universe, the billions and billions of galaxies. So we are nowhere close to it. So no matter how much quantum is there, no matter how much AI is there, we're never going to reach that scale in the next billion years.
Wow.
So that's not going to happen.
Well, why are we here, Anto?
I think that's. I think it depends on the interpretation. Depends on person to person. But for me, I think it's definitely. I know that I have my passion, and my goal is to build things and solve problems for humanity. So I have a deep sense of will that hey, I can actually identify this problem, and using technology, I can solve this problem for the people who are suffering in this world. So that's my God's purpose or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Jesus, like we said earlier, prayed on earth as it is in heaven. I mean, Revelation describes it as there's going to be a new heaven that actually overlays with the new earth. I feel like people don't actually realize that heaven looks a lot more like Mountain View than they think.
Mountain View.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That heaven looks a lot more like San Francisco than they think.
Oh.
That heaven looks like a lot more like Birmingham or Miami, Florida than they think. I think sometimes we think that heaven is like, this place where there's, chubby babies with wings and, they're playing harps.
Right.
I don't know if I ever read that in the Bible, but I did read that there's going to be a new heaven overlaying with the new earth.
Right.
And so I just wonder if all this technological advancement is actually part of God's plan to see practical redemption, restoration. Why I say that I think heaven might look more like Mountain View than people think, it's because it's not Mountain View exactly,
right.
but it's a completely redeemed one. It's a completely renewed one
Right.
without sickness,
Yes, exactly.
with full healing, with full restoration. And when I hear things like, hey, like we're 10 years away, Vance, from creating, vaccines in a day that can heal thousands of people that might be getting this one sickness, and we can heal cancer and things like that, I hear healing.
Right. Yeah.
I hear a redeemed state. You know, so interesting.
So I
Really,
think
really
it's really
interesting.
good.
I want to pivot really quickly because while we have you here, just talk about just AI wars in general. Like we have a lot of these different big companies that are playing the game right now. It's like it feels like every week you have a model that comes out that beats the next model, and then the next, and it's just like this race to see where it's going. I'm curious what you think because you're in the space where it's going. First off, you have NVIDIA, which seems like head like 10 and heels above every other hardware kind of play. But on the software side of things, where do you see it going with the big tech companies? You've got the Googles, Apples, Meta, versus these other ones, OpenAI, DeepSeek, and stuff.
Yeah. I think the race is happening almost every day, not in months or weeks, right? So
What are you doing here?
Go, man.
Yeah, like after this podcast, I'll go check the benchmark and some other companies on top, right?
Yeah. I think recently Gemini came out with 2.5 that just said, I don't know what benchmark you use, but they claim to be the best right now model out there. And that was like yesterday, maybe?
Yeah, so that's the thing. One day Gemini will come up, then next day OpenAI, another day Grok 3. Yeah. So Grok 3 was one of the first models to actually go in the 1400 scale in the chatbot arena. So that's one of the standard benchmarks out there. So Grok 3 came out to be top. And right now there are other, even DeepSeek and OpenAI are all fighting. Like it's one step ahead or one step down. It's like the fight is always happening, right? Which is good. So when companies strive for become competitive and strive for to be the leader, we are seeing great improvements in AI. So this week, OpenAI released the new image generation, image editing tool, right? Last week, Grok released the image editing tool. Like you don't need Photoshop anymore. In order to create posters and stuff, you just ask AI and it will do it for you.
Have you tried this, by the way, Vance? 4.0 new model to generate images.
Yeah.
Grok's is really good, by the way. But the one that it's like taking over Twitter by storm. Like everybody's talking about right now, the image editing. If you haven't tried it out, definitely go.
So is Adobe stock just crashing?
It must be. Like you said, you really don't need those tools anymore to do anything. It's
exactly.
Crazy. Yeah.
And the other fascinating factor was that if you had just 2 weeks back, if you asked AI to actually make a poster, none of the words in that was eligible, readable. Like it will jump up the words. The English was not right. But right now, in just 2 weeks, the AI corrected all the words is readable. Like you can create like a whole passage, image, and you can read the entire text. That's crazy.
I was wondering, just curious what you think, how it's actually happening. Because when I was playing around with it today, it does a initial pass of creating the image, and then it looks like it's almost doing what you would do with Photoshop, which is it's doing another pass on the image and correcting the text. Is it actually the AI model got better, or their feature of image generation just got better?
The AI got better. That's what I said, because AI got better because we have been fine tuning the models. So it's more about fine tuning. Hey, like the English is wrong. If the letters are not readable, we ask the AI to repeatedly correct it multiple times. So that's where the human reinforcement element comes into play as well, right? So over the past couple of months, I think image generation has improved mostly because of fine tuning the models and human reinforcement learning. That's the two main parameters for it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And so, actually, I wanted to ask you about the DeepSeek stuff that happened. So, DeepSeek, came out with their really super efficient model. They didn't require as much hardware. There was some back and forth of how much hardware they actually ended up using. And one thing I heard, like the discourse that came about, was because they didn't have as such good hardware, they were forced to innovate and create a better model like there. Whereas here, we have all this incredible hardware, and it led to maybe. Like the common thing that you hear at Google was just throw more hardware at it. Like you don't actually have to create a more efficient model or a more efficient system. We just have so much money and so much hardware that we can just scale using that. I'm curious where you see the dynamic between where we are with hardware and actually being able to create efficient models.
So DeepSeek is, there's no deniability that DeepSeek is a bad model. DeepSeek is definitely a really good model. But I'm not fully aware of how much hardware they used, how much money they raised, all those kind of stuff, right? So hardware definitely plays a very crucial role when it comes to the power of the AI. So that's something that was evident in XAI. So XAI built the largest superclusters in the world, 100,000 GPUs, and they are probably doubling it right now, right? So there's a technique that's used when it comes to large scale infra, is that we use data parallelization and model parallelization. So we kind of distribute the load of AI parallelly into 100,000 GPUs, so that one single GPU is never exhausted. So the thinking is faster, the processing is faster, and the results are more accurate. So that's the step that we took at XAI, right? And as the hardware improves, we will see more powerful AI. So hardware is definitely important. And another issue when it comes to hardware is the power. So GPUs are one of the most power hungry hardwares in the entire world. And in this scale, so the future of AI infra is that single company will own millions of GPUs. 1 million GPUs will require at least 24 nuclear power plants.
Right.
So that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So AI is the most power hungry animal the world has ever seen. So how are we going to match up with the power demands?
Right.
So in XAI, how they did that was with Tesla megapacks. So because there was like fluctuations in voltage and frequency, and they had to like turn back to DC. It's like a war between Tesla and Edison happening right now in the world. So like they used DC power to actually maintain the fluctuations in frequency, that the transformer did not burn out, and subsystems did not like flash out.
Yeah.
So hardware is improving. The biggest concern there is not hardware. However, that's a concern as well. But the biggest concern is the power. So where will we get the power from? Are we investing more in nuclear power plants? Renewable energy will never meet these standards. So how are we going about it?
So the DeepSeek stuff was misleading because it's not like $6 million to build this.
So I cannot talk. I don't know how to talk about it because I don't know in depth of how they built it or the hardware they used. So, but the models are pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what I can say.
Yeah. And on that conversation about power, what's really cool about innovation and like the competition we're seeing now is it's actually driving a lot of other sectors outside of just like tech, right? Where now you actually have to see power innovate to be able to keep up with this. And you're seeing a lot of these people who were slowly moving in like the nuclear power space now realizing, oh, we need to like figure this out sooner rather than later because AI is coming one way or the other.
Okay, so let's do that.
Yeah.
Big winners, big losers. Okay.
Yeah.
In the next 3 to 5 years, obviously anybody that is in the forefront of power, energy, big winners.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's big losers? SaaS? Like is SaaS like a big, like what's your take, Anto? Like
I don't know.
Big 3 winners, big 3 losers because of AI.
I think energy sector is gonna be a big winner
Big
for
winner.
sure.
Big winner.
Batteries are gonna blow up. Like a lot of battery companies are gonna come out. Robotics is the biggest winner. So last week, the Figure AI's private stock is more in demand than XAI stock. XAI was the highest in demand until now. Then it took over by robotics company, right?
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what Figure just came out with? Because I know they made some big advancements in the recent years.
So even I know the public stuff they released, right? So the humans are humanoid robots are able to walk like a human now.
Really cool stuff. If you haven't seen this, man.
No, I saw it.
It's really cool.
Do different tasks. Like Boston Dynamics actually broke the silence last week with their robot actually running like a human being, taking a sprint.
They have a good marketing team too. They always their robots
videos,
are always dancing. Like,
I love
they
the
got
ones
swaggy robots.
I love the ones where they're just like pushing them around, and it's just like that's the ones you always see. It's like, why are you guys mad at them?
But the biggest concern is China, though. So China is unitary robots is outperforming every other robot out there.
Interesting.
So I don't know. China is like blowing up on robotics right now. They're super bullish on robots. Their robots are doing backflips, all kinds of sorts of things.
So how many years away till I have a humanoid at my house? Do you think 2 years, 5 years?
Elon says 3 years.
3 years, okay.
Yeah, so
Elon's
that's
typically
Optimus timeline. So in the cost of a car, you can have a human.
And what do you think
in your
Optimus is
house.
going to do? Is he doing my laundry and my dishes or like what?
Yeah, I think the purpose of humanoid robots right now, as per definition, is to replicate all the tedious tasks done by humans, from laundries to cleaning of dishes to cleaning the apartment,
mowing the
those
lawn,
kind of stuff. Mowing the lawn and all
Okay.
those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that requires training, right? So that's
Which
where
is
we come in.
interesting. That's an example of how instead of making all these different form factors, the human form factor is pretty elegant.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Oh, and actually, a lot of the things that we built is for the human.
It
form
is.
factor,
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
Like so that actually makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
even this is designed
Yeah,
in a
it's
way
for
that
the
we
human.
can grab it,
Yeah,
right?
Right,
So,
Yeah.
so that's the other thing.
Yeah, so all the world's infrastructure is oriented,
Right.
Against our organic structure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so big winners is energy, robotics. One more.
And AI models, like
Yeah.
foundation models.
Yeah, the foundational models.
Yes.
Who just top of mind? Do you like what industries are you scared for? You're like, oh man, that's gonna be tough in an AI world.
I don't know. So there's something that one of the VCs actually asked me a couple of weeks back. Someone asked me, hey, why don't you actually build just an app and make it, release it, right?
Yeah.
So we are out of the phase of apps. You can just use it like AI operator, like Manus or like other operator from Anthropic, just to create an app in a day.
Yeah.
So if you're creating an app right now, I don't think that's the best way to go.
App builders.
I think every
no, but like so there's a distinction, right? Because Airbnb and Uber is more than an app,
Yeah.
right?
So
what's an example of more so what you're saying? Like,
so let's say that there's an app to what was it? App to actually control the appliances in your house or something like that, right? So if I want, I can just ask Manus, hey, can you actually build an app to actually control my appliances in the house, like take over Alexa and stuff. Another thing is that, hey, I want to send bulk emails. So if you create an app for that, I can just develop an app in a day for it. I don't want to use your service. If there is an app to automate Excel sheets, financial tools, right? So we are getting into the field of AI agents, but AI agents should not be limited to an app. It should be more than that. A true AI agent is something that actually takes over the 100% of the task of a human being. Able to control different apps in the desktop, close different tabs, write email for you, send it, record that in your calendar, do different things. So it's beyond an app. It's of a system.
SaaS is in trouble.
It is. But that's why I think, and I would love your take on this, what the biggest losers for me are actually going to end up being all of these AI companies that aren't big tech. This is my opinion. This is why I think it's going to happen. Because I think the Googles of the world are the ones to best give me that feature that you're talking about, which is knowing
they
me.
can just collect up all their apps and make the super app.
They make the super app, right? Like they already have all my information across their entire suite. And now they can have it.
Small tech is a big loser in general.
Huge loser. Huge loser.
Oh man. So the Mag 7, they're
just
going to get
bigger and bigger,
powerful.
right? I'm curious, do you agree, or do you have like
it's
a counter?
Actually really difficult to create an everything app because that's the vision for X, right? So X is trying to be the everything app.
The WeChat, right, of the US,
something like that. I don't know. So, but it's taking a long time. So it's not an easy task to make an everything app. So it will take time. So eventually,
well, maybe not an everything app, but
I just need my model to have access, right?
Say it again.
I just need my assistant to have access. Like I don't need it all combined into one. But when I go ask Gemini or like your app Siri, whatever, it knows it. So like I don't need it to be all in one. It's just one device. I have all of it around it. Now when I go ask it, it just gives me the answer because it knows everything. Right? I don't need an everything app. I just need an everything device, with all of it loaded on.
That's true.
Interesting. Okay, what do you think about form factors though?
Ooh,
do you think
good question.
This is never going away, like the smartphone? Is this just too sticky, or is VR actually going to happen? Is AR actually going to happen? Because I mean, people have been talking about it for 20 years, but it hasn't actually happened.
Well, I think we are entering a phase where devices will be no more. That's when Neuralink is there, right? So we are entering probably in the next 10 to 15 years. Humans will be cyborgs. Like
we're all going to be Iron Man.
10 to 15 years.
Yeah. So Neuralink is actually doing a lot of stuff right now, from enabling paralyzed patients to control devices and stuff. So I think the future is like we'll never carry a brick in our pocket, or we'll never carry devices.
Oh, so that's a hot take.
Yes.
You're saying the smartphone it's an existential threat.
Not immediately, but in the future.
But in 10 to 15 years, that's
as per the world leaders, I do not know. I do not have my own hypotheses again on top of it. But as per the leaders in this field, they say that 15 to 20 years. So yeah.
So you're gonna just, I guess, read your emails through your contact lens
through Thought.
Oh, just through Thought.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I can
through
call
Neuralink.
Through
oh, I see what you're saying.
So that's what Neuralink is working on, right? So with this implant, either immersive or non-immersive chips in your brain, you can actually think and talk to you. So like telekinesis kind of stuff. So we actually
like Professor Xavier.
Yeah.
Everybody's like Professor Xavier.
Kinda. So a month back, I actually did a party called a Giga Party in SF in Temple, and we had some quantum art installations.
That's the most Silicon Valley nerdy thing I've ever heard of. That's awesome.
We were celebrating 25 years of the
I also want to get invited.
Yeah. My invite must have got lost.
Yeah. I'm gonna need the invite to the next one.
So there we had this immersive arts. So there was this artist who came in and she had this wearable devices, and once you wear it, you can actually control the art installations. You can actually draw images on the screen and everything. It was a non-immersive tech that you wear on your brain, and using your brain signals, you can actually read your thought and control the screen.
That's
so that's
really cool.
like widely
Wait,
commercially
so
available.
is it
right
going to be
now.
like luxury to talk? It's like if you want a unique experience, this is a talking restaurant.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely gonna happen.
I don't know. Yeah. But
There's gonna be retreats where you just turn all of this off, and then you just like
And
we're
then
doing
you
now.
just go back down, it's like,
yeah.
remember when we podcasted?
Yeah. Remember when we even had to do that?
So juvenile.
Yeah. But I love this because
So old
I
school.
agree with this. I agree that this is the next era of where humans go. And that's where I think we match the like superior intelligence you get from machines, because now we'll have that implanted in us, and now we can go toe to toe with super intelligence.
So you're saying that, you know, the super intelligence will definitely be smarter than humans.
oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we are at risk of Terminator.
Not really. If you have the good guardrail, so that's what the leader says.
Yeah, but if
right?
if you're creating super intelligence, wouldn't they develop a free will?
if you have enough guardrails and if we don't teach it to be free,
Yeah,
then-
I guess it
movies
all
have
comes
told
down
us
to
that's
it all
not
comes
happening.
down to intent, right? Because
Yeah.
it's in the creator.
yeah,
Right.
right now.
So
AI
people
will not
might
be that.
definitely build this without guardrails.
Yeah. Or not know how to build all of the exact guardrails that you need, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, either intentionally or unintentionally,
Unintentionally,
it's
yeah.
definitely happening.
Yeah.
That if you're saying that it's possible for superintelligence to be smarter than us, we're at risk. But I guess we're at risk of like a meteor
20%
hitting us
chance.
too. So.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I
But I
mean-
think that's why it's so important to get this digital twin thing right. Because if you can copy the human psyche in some digital form,
It'll have a morality.
you can figure out what that is. Like, what is a digital consciousness, digital morality? What does that look like? And then create the rule book based off that. 'Cause I think there's still a lot that's, like, unless there's a spiritual realm, right? Like there's like still so much undiscovered about how we work and operate as humans. If you can map that into a digital twin by like doing this like reinforcement learning and continuously building these models, then I think you can get it right. And I think that's probably, we think about movies when we think about how this has been done in the past. That's probably something they haven't thought about, right? It's like, how does that look and how do you train and build these models? There is a world in which this works.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Hollywood. They always they always make robotics and AI seem to be bad, but it's not always the case. So
Yeah, you feel like you have like a optimistic lens. Like
Of course I have
it,
to.
It,
Yeah.
it
Building
doesn't
the
seem
company,
like
man.
you're as scared of them taking over the world.
because there's greater chance that we can advance as a humanity compared to the
Okay.
risk.
The reward
Yeah,
outweighs the
reward
risk.
is greater than the downsides of it. And if there's downsides, that's why guardrails are important, right?
Yeah.
So we need to implement guardrails to shut it down. And we are at this phase in humanity that all that we are speaking right now is not fantasy anymore. It used to be fantasy 2 years back. But right now, this is actually real.
So crazy. It's so true.
So yeah.
That's the title of the podcast, by the way. Guardrails. Godrails.
Dude, I love this guy has the best stuff.
No,
That's
no,
it.
no.
That's locked. That's locked.
I'm a dad of 4.
That's
It's
locked.
just really,
no, that's it. I think it's been a really good conversation about AI. I feel like we've been grilling you, but I wanted to kind of move away from AI a little bit and just talk about you as a person, kingdom builder. You're part of the Hype Network as well. Why is it so important for you to be a part of this? And I know you have like something that you're really trying to push in this space, but like, yeah, why is this so important to you?
I think every human being has to be grounded in a sense of truth, right? And something that you can come back to. Because everything that you build can be replaced. Any company that you build, any empire that you build can be replaced in a second. So at the end of the day, you need to come back to God, the creator, right? And that's what church is bringing me. Is the community, is the spirituality that I'm grounded in. And I need that more than anything. And that's why I'm super bullish on Hype as well. Like I work for free. Any help that Hype needs. So yeah, I don't care about the monetary benefits or anything like that. So I think it's a mission for me, rather than an obligation or a work.
Yeah, for people out there that haven't joined the Hype Network, talk about the value that you've seen with Hype Network.
There's
And potential too, future value.
I think there's definitely a lot of kingdom builders, people who are outside the realm of monetary benefits. So one thing when it comes to like a lot of founders I've seen is that, hey, they want to make millions of dollars and get away with it, right? Just sell their company or quick benefits, right? the way I think if you're a true Christian, if you're a true believer, that's not the way you think. It's more about solving people's problems more than the money, right?
Yeah.
And that's the way I think. And I think this is the greatest place to meet people like that. And that's a value difference.
So cool.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a great podcast. I'm really excited. 50 episodes.
Come on.
We
That
got
was a great
HypeCon
50.
Dubai coming up. Really glad that you're part of this, space that we're building, the Pipe Pod, the Hype Network. And if you want more information, go check out hypenetwork.org. Get all the information you want there. Follow us on our socials and stay tuned for the next episode. Cheers, guys.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Let's go.